Evening Reds. That was garbage, wasn't it? Stephen Howson, full-time Devils United have been beaten again. 1-0 to Brighton. It absolutely sucks. It's hard to really put into words what you're seeing because there's nothing that I'm seeing right now that I wasn't seeing against Arsenal. Have the United team absolutely checked out mentally? And if they have, who's that on? Is it on the manager to motivate them? Is it on the players to be self-motivating as professional Manchester United footballers? Jose's going to get some stick tonight for the starting 11 that he selected, and that would be absolutely correct if that's what happens. He picked this starting 11. It was a proper shop window, almost rejects 11. Clearly trying to put some people in the shop window so they can get sold. Is that the right thing to do? Is that the wrong thing to do? It's what he did, ultimately. But again, there's a certain expectation of performance that this team didn't live up to. Whether or not we all know deep down that maybe Marouane Fellaini is not the number 8 Jose Mourinho thinks he is. Whether or not Damian has got a future as a top level professional footballer or not, it's irrelevant. There should have been more cohesion. There should have been more fight. There should have been more being asked in that team. And it simply was not there. And that's not acceptable. That's nowhere near acceptable for a Manchester United team. When they look at that chest and look at the badge that's on there, they should be like, this is Manchester United. And I don't think a lot of people get that. There's no one, apart from Big Dave, who comes out of this performance glowing. Every single one of them. Paul Pogba, sloppy. Rashford, poor decision making. Martial. If I could epitomise this game in a 30-second period, it was around the 70-minute mark. Pogba goes on a drive down the pitch and you're like, yes, something's about to happen here now. He does a step over and a chop on the inside. He does that quite effectively to change direction, usually when he's being marked and someone's up against him. And he does all right with that sort of thing. But he chopped it directly into someone from the opposition. And they played a ball back into defence and they played it, I think, back to the keeper. And then they started an attack from it. But as they played it back, so the first thing that epitomises this performance from United is Pogba losing it with a stupid decision like that. The second thing that epitomises this team's performance is Marcus Rashford goes to press either the centre-half or the goalkeeper. I can't remember which. And Martial's on the other side of the other centre-half and does nothing. And you can see Marcus turn to him and be like, what are you playing at? Are we getting after this or not? And then you can just see, like, even Rashford can't be asked to bollock him from it. And I don't know who was wrong. I've not been present in the team meetings where they've said, we'll press in certain situations. So it might have just been that Marcus thought he should have pressed. And Marshall might have been absolutely correct. But at the time, we're losing the game. You want to see that fight. Where's the team spirit? Where's the team cohesion? Now, there obviously is a very good team spirit in small circles in this camp. We've got a big Spanish clique, and we've got like a big, I'll call it an academy player clique, that the likes of Lukaku have been dragged into because he's good mates with Pogba. But there's no leadership in this team. And it's been evident for the entire season. We can put in some absolutely belting performances. But there needs to be leaders. It needs to be the players themselves that are doing it. But there needs to be leadership from these players where they can just make things happen. There needs to be captains on the pitch. And I have some sympathy with Jose Mourinho. Some sympathy, not entire sympathy, because he picked that starting 11 and there's players there that are just totally questionable why they were selected. But there's some sympathy with Jose Mourinho, the fact that we've got no leaders in this team. No one. I'm looking around with 10 minutes to go and I'm thinking, who's gonna lift this team now? Who's gonna be the one that, whether it gets lifted right now or back in the changing rooms in a bit, who's going to be the one dishing out the bollockins? Is it Pogba? I can't imagine it is on the back of the performance that he put in. Who is it? The captain's armband's been passed around a lot. Smalling's worn it this season. Big Dave has worn it this season. Probably the only body that deserves to wear it. Antonio Valencia's wore it for most of the season. He's not really a captain. Ashley Young wore it tonight. Someone of his ability probably shouldn't be Manchester United captain. I think that's symptomatic of the whole issues that we've got at the club at the moment. It's not good enough. There's no real leaders in the team, and there's no real fight in this team. Now, yes, we have come back from behind. We've done it in the bigger games. We've not really done it all the time. When a performance has been flat, it's stayed flat and it's never come back from being flat. Sevilla, West Brom, even Arsenal to an extent. There's just a proper apathy about the club at the moment. And I don't know if it's because some people are like, well, we've only got the cup final to play for. Well, that's not acceptable and that's not good enough. I honestly don't know what to say. I honestly don't know what to say with it. It's so damn frustrating. United have been beaten off all the teams that have been promoted this year. And we've beaten all the top 6. There's some sort of mad irony in there, somehow. That it makes no sense, but that's the situation we find ourselves in. Top teams come to town. Check this out. We've got the tactics to be able to deal with that sort of stuff. That's where Jose Mourinho excels as a tactical manager. When he maybe doesn't know or doesn't identify the threats of a team that we should absolutely sweep aside, like some of the promotion teams, maybe that's where he needs somebody else on board. Maybe that's where the failures in him as a manager are exposed. Sir Alex Ferguson constantly evolved his backroom staff because Sir Alex Ferguson had the confidence in his own ability and knew he had the confidence of the fans and the board to be able to do that thing. Jose Mourinho's never lasted more than 3 years at a club, and I think he uses some of his backroom staff as a bit of a safety blanket. These are my team, these are the people that I trust, because he hasn't got the trust either of the fan base or the board every single where he's been. And I think that is the fundamental flaw of Jose Mourinho. For him to evolve and stay on the top of his game as a manager, I think he has to have fresh blood in terms of his coaching staff and team. And I don't see that. I only see him taking his mates around with him wherever. Now, there'll be a tremendous bond between those coaches because they've worked together now for decades. But I think that this is where a bit of fresh blood could come in and really rejuvenate what happens. What are you guys saying? Let's see what the comments are saying. We lost to all 3 promoted sides. Yes. Mourinho needs to stop playing 3 in midfield. We need Herrera in there for Brighton. That 3 in midfield. Yeah, we do need Herrera in there. Fellaini needs to go. Fellaini's going to be the brute of a lot of people's ire today. And do you know what? I would allow it. Because what I don't understand is why Jose Mourinho has selected someone who's absolutely taken the piss out of the club this week. He's basically come out in the press and said, this club didn't know what they were doing. I'm worth 50 million. They can go fuck themselves now. So someone who's coming out and trying to screw the club is being given start after start by Jose Mourinho. Well, I say start after start. He's starting games that he arguably shouldn't. It makes no sense to me. None whatsoever. Herrera DM says, Russ, that was embarrassing as a Manchester United fan, says Michael. I think a lot of people would agree with you on that, mate. Sell Marshall, not good enough. Marshall was awful. There's a lot of comments here saying players are awful. Someone's saying 7 losses in 1 season and we want to win the league. Well, do you know what, mate? I remember Sir Alex Ferguson coming out and saying you can lose 6. Now, obviously, with the season that City have had, losing 6 as well wouldn't really have mattered. It was already done. Do you like Pogba can be the man at United? Don't think he can. He needs people around him. Of course he needs people around him. Like, people try and put a slight on Paul Pogba saying that he has to play in a 3 to get the best out of him. I don't think that's a slight on him. I think that's just a fact. Steven Gerrard could not play in a midfield 2. Him and Frank Lampard, 2 of the supposedly best central midfielders that the Premier League has ever seen, couldn't play in a 2 together. Never worked. Roy Keane, Paul Scholes and Juan Varane couldn't work as a midfield three. They work better as a midfield pair. Sometimes that's just the way the jigsaw goes. And I think to get the very best out of Paul Pogba, when you pull Paul Pogba further back, defensively is not there as an all-round complete midfielder. He is a creative midfielder, and he's one of the best in the world at doing it. That's a fact. That's not an opinion, that is a fact. He is one of the best in the world at doing that creative side. But he does need to be played in a midfield three to get the best out of him. Now, I think Manchester United should be utilising that. But if Jose doesn't think he's got the other midfielders to be able to do that, then you can understand why he tries to play him in a midfield and put a number 10 in front of him as well. It needs someone who can dictate the tempo, or it needs Matic to have a slightly different role. To get the best out of him, you've also got to keep the likes of Sanchez out of his pocket. If you look at some of our worst performances this season, I haven't seen it from tonight, basically Pogba and Sanchez are holding hands in terms of their average touch. You've got to separate them. The games where we've managed to separate them, usually it's when Sanchez plays on the last man a little bit more and Pogba's allowed that license to go right as well as left. And that's what you need to happen, because if you can get the tune out of both of those players, they're two absolute top draw world-class footballers. But they're less than useless if you can throw a blanket over the pair of them, because they're holding hands. You have to get them in different areas. And you saw with the way Sanchez created the goal for Pogba against City, when they can play together, you get a tune out of them, and it's absolutely brilliant. But if it's not working, it's awful. So that's a big thing for Jose to fix in the summer. How he does that, I don't know. That's why Jose gets paid the money that he gets paid. Damian's got to go, says Gareth. Why so inconsistent, says Raf. I wish I knew, mate. The inconsistency is the thing that's really bugged me this season. It's really bugged me that we've been so inconsistent. Because, like I said, on paper, this is a fantastic team. The defence needs work, but the forward six and a goalkeeper are damn good. Why no Lindelof tonight? Don't get that. Rojo's not played for forever. Not saying he had a terrible game. Don't really think anyone had a great game. But Lindelof was excellent. Man of the match for me against Arsenal. Why can't he get 2 games on the bounce? Chris Smalling was terrible against Arsenal. If Jose Mourinho, as he says, is trying to play players in for the World Cup, then that's the wrong attitude to have. Jose Mourinho's the fucking Manchester United manager. His first and only duty should be to Manchester United. Lindelof, best defender at the club at the moment, while Bay's out injured or toothache or whatever the hell's going on with him. Absolutely fantastic against Arsenal. Why doesn't he play again tonight? Because our distribution from the back tonight was dog shit. And that's what Lindelof brings. Not only does he bring that, his decision-making against Arsenal was absolutely top drawer. He pocketed Aubameyang and he made it very difficult for them to come through us. If you look at what Chris Smalling did for the goal, go and watch that Arsenal goal again. And I want you to just watch Chris Smalling and watch what Lindelof has to deal with. Aside from that, the rest of the game that Ed was absolutely fantastic. Nowhere to be seen tonight. He brings back Chris Smalling, who seemingly can do nothing wrong in his eyes. And he brings in Rojo, who's not been seen for ages. And he brings in Damian, who's been absolutely terrible all season. I've seen someone having a go at Luke Shaw. Someone tagged me in something on Instagram and it goes, now do you see that lazy piece of shit Luke Shaw has to go? And I was like, don't know what you're looking at, mate. Luke Shaw comes on and immediately starts bombing to the byline and looking to be an attacking threat. That's what Manchester United lack and need from a fullback. Don't know what he was looking at. If Luke Shaw's inconsistent, it's because he plays about once every 3 months. It's difficult to try and get any sort of consistency when you don't know when you're playing from 1 month to the next. Mega frustrating times. We'll probably win the FA Cup because Jose's got a big bugbear against Chelsea and Conte, and he'll be well prepared for that, and the players will be fired up for that because it's an FA Cup. But these next couple games are probably going to suck. The only hope for us is that, I guess second's probably still not safe. Our only hope is that we secure second against West Ham, if that's even possible. I've not checked the standings actually. Secure second against West Ham, and then play the young uns against Watford. It's the only thing we can do in it. Rashford and Marshall shouldn't have escaped criticism. Nope, they haven't. So I don't know what you're on about there. I really don't know how you can rate Lindelof so highly after the Arsenal game. It seems super shaky. I would say go and watch the game again. He was easily man of the match. Chelsea will win. Behave. Rashford ain't that good. Rashford's very good, but he didn't have a good game tonight. There's a difference. There's a difference between form and class, and Rashford's class, but his form wasn't there tonight. Jose's the new Wenger, dinosaur. Well, he's still winning things and he's still improving a team. So there you go. Ashley Young is useless, says Mark. Does Liverpool potentially winning the Champions League bother me? Not as much as it would if City was. The name's already all over that trophy, innit, at the end of the day. And when they won it in 2005, what did they do the next year? Or the year after that? Or the year after that? Nothing. No, they shithoused their way to a cup. I'd love to be in the position that they're in, shithousing our way to a Champions League. You know that. I'd love to us to park the bus all over Europe. Didn't happen. They're in a final. I'm not going to wish them luck. I hope they don't win it. I hope Real Madrid absolutely tater them and win 3 on the bounce. That's what I'm hoping. Not really give a shit. I don't want them to win it, clearly, but I don't really give a shit. It doesn't matter. They haven't beat us this season. They haven't beat us since Klopp and Mourinho have been at their respective clubs. So who cares? You can only do what we can do. And we wasn't good enough against Sevilla, so it doesn't matter what Liverpool do. This always happens when Mata plays. Mata slows everything down and gives time for the opposition to get behind the ball. That's not entirely true. He's slow as a guy that runs, but his thinking is great, and he actually does speed it up with some of his passing. Tonight I wouldn't have gone with him. I don't think I would have gone with something a little bit more attacking. Something a little bit, maybe Lingard. Maybe a chance to see if Sanchez can do it on the right hand side a bit more. I don't know. Right, I'm going to wrap it up. Adams is coming in a second, so stay tuned for that. See you in a bit.